The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. He's coming to us from the Cleveland, Ohio area. He is the head football coach of Case Western University, and that is Greg Debeljak joins the show. Greg, thank you for joining.
Hey, Mike. Great to be here. Great to be talking to you today.
Absolutely. For sure. We're happy to have you on. I know we've been trying to get this scheduled for a couple of weeks now. I'm glad we were actually able to make this happen. But you are the head football coach there at Case Western Reserves University, like I said, in Cleveland. How many years have you been coaching at Case? And can you walk us through a little bit of your coaching journey?
Yeah, I've been coaching at Case actually since 2001. I took over as head coach in 2004. Okay. So 25 years at the university. Before that, I was 12 years at John Carroll. 2 years as a graduate assistant and 10 years as a full-time coach. And during that time, my journey as a coach, very, very different. I've been in 2 places in 38 years.
Wow.
We live in the same house. My kids went to the same school district, K through 12. I tell this to some D1 guys, and they look at me and thinking either I don't believe you, or well, that would have been nice. So I love the D3 experience. I attended John Carroll and played football and basketball there. And never really had any aspirations to be a Division I coach. NFL would have been interesting, but when I was at John Carroll, there was a man coaching there named Tony DiCarlo that was at John Carroll coaching for 40 years. He was the head wrestling coach and won a national championship there, and he eventually took over as the football coach. So that's kind of what I was kind of exposed to. And also, I really admired Jim Tressel, who was at Youngstown State for so long, and Ohio State, and just felt that the way I was wired, that was what was best for me, to just kind of go to a place and kind of be there a long time, and create a environment where it's just more of a family environment. And yeah, I've coached pretty much a generation of Case Western Reserve athletes, so I feel that's pretty special.
That's awesome to hear. It's rare anymore in the coaching world, in the sports world, to see a coach last at a program as long as you have. So kudos to you for being able to last at one program. And only ever really coaching at 2. That's huge. For you and your family, that's awesome for sure. Most families of coaches, they're moving around a lot. They're finding the next opportunity, the better opportunity. I think that speaks volumes to your character right off the bat and everything like that. And having that mindset, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to coach, and making that work for you. That just reminds me, you brought up the NFL. It reminds me of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 3 coaches in my lifetime that I've ever, really got to experience. And it's been the only 3. So finding something that works, that definitely shows the commitment that Case has to you, for sure. And, that it's just that threw me for a loop. I was not expecting that answer. I'm not going to lie. Hear Greg talking to coaches. I'm normally used to I've coached here. We moved there. It's that. So that kind of threw me for a loop, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's not a typical story. And I coached, John Carroll with all those guys that are in the NFL now. Josh McDaniels was actually a recruit of mine. Nick Caserio, who's the GM of the Texans, Jerry Shaplinski, who's with the Texans now. I think his title is passing game consultant. Jerry coached at Case with me for 5 years, but was a John Carroll kid that was really good friends with Nick and Josh, and Josh gave him an opportunity with the Patriots, and Jerry had that typical. He was with the Patriots for 6 years, and then after that, it was the Dolphins 1, the Giants 2 years, Vegas 2 years, Rams 1 year, and now he's in his first year with the Texans, and he has 4 girls, and they've been moving all over the place. So hey, God bless them, and I'm glad the Texans are doing well. They started off kind of rough, and I was concerned might be another move. So it's a tough business. And to survive in that business, you have to be really good. But you're sacrificing a lot of things too.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the main things that a lot of people have talked about on the show. All the other coaches that I've had on the show, talking about the sacrifices they've made with their families and making it work. So it's great to hear the other side of that too, where people who have made it work at one university and one program, and were able to have that success there. Too as well. And this past spring, your team and your staff went to Italy to practice and play an international game. Can you talk to us about that experience? How did that work? How did your game go? as a resident paisan myself here in America, I got to hear the story about being able to go to Italy.
Yeah, so it definitely it goes back to my days at John Carroll, where when I was a coach there, we went on 3 foreign trips, 94, 97, and 2000. And when I became the head coach, it was such a great experience, for the kids, for the coaches. And it was a great team building experience. So I wanted to get that going at Case, and it took a while because the Case kids kind of like didn't get it. Like I'd kind of try and sell them on it, and they're like, "Well, why would we do that? I start my co-op, in May, and how am I going to do this?" And I'm like, "Well, just ask them for a week off. I mean, like let's find a way to do this." And
right.
The first time we went with just 24 players and a travel group of 45. The game isn't like the big deal. They're not good. There are places in Europe that are pretty good. Germany and Austria, they put the most resources into it. Italy is not that competitive. These are club teams that you play.
Okay.
They don't have college football. So you're playing people. Everybody's over 18, but you have a lot of guys that are in their upper 20s, their lower 30s. You'll see a 40-year-old here and there. They're just people that really love American football and want to play. So the teams that we played, and we've done 4 foreign trips at Case. The standard, kind of format is they will have an American coach, and they will have 2 American players that are just out of college. The team we played this past spring, they had a player from UCLA. He was a receiver for UCLA that they played at quarterback because he was a high school quarterback. And they had a linebacker from a Division III school. And they had a coach that I was familiar with, and they had a couple of assistants that were young Americans. And they're just trying to teach the game. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So more of a learning experience for the international players to get to know the game a little bit better. Is that kind of like, what am I right in thinking that?
Yeah. And they have a season, they have a 10-game season, and they play other club teams. They have practices, but these guys are, they have full-time jobs. They're not, this isn't what they do. It's not as organized as a college where you're practicing every day. They practice a couple of days a week. And hopefully they get everybody there. So it's more of a club thing. They do it for fun, but they're very passionate about it. The positives for us football wise is the NCAA allows you to train for this game and gives you additional practices in the spring. And those are fully padded practices. In Division III, spring practices are non-contact.
Yeah.
When you go on a foreign trip, you get 10 days to do whatever you want. You can play football. So we had a spring game. We coordinated that spring game with a really big recruiting event. So those are the positives. Getting over the game, you're not, it's not competitive. It's fun. You get to know the other players. Most of the guys kind of connect with them on social media before they go. And again, some unique experiences after the game. One year, not this past year, but the previous time we went in 22, one of the players owned a bar in Rome. So that's where all the players headed after the game. They all went to this guy's bar and socialized with the players from other team at this guy's bar.
That's awesome.
But but everything, we were in Rome. We went to the Vatican 2 days after they named the Pope. So that vibe was really cool. We went south. We went to Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii, Naples. Just some very memorable places. And then we flew from Naples to Greece and spent 3 days in Greece, culminating with a boat tour of 3 Greek islands on our last day. So pretty cool experiences for our players. And I do allow families to come. So our total travel group was 190, the largest
Wow.
we've had. Yeah, it's quite a logistical project, and I have a middleman that kind of sets up all those things. But still, it's a lot. It's a lot of planning to make this thing work, but well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sounds like it's well worth it with, just the experience of traveling to another country. Most people aren't going to get that opportunity in their lifetimes, it seems like. So being able to do that as a college student and getting to play a game over there too while you're at it, just kind of the icing on the cake there. Sounds like it was a lot of fun getting to see that, and great experience for your players and their families that got to go with you on the trip. Your 2025 season just ended with a 4-5-1 record overall. Can you walk us through this season minus a game? Your first two games of the season seem to have quite the story attached to them, from what I've been told.
Yes, we been coaching 38 years, and maybe a handful of weather delays in my career, but we've always been able to finish the games. Our first two games, we had lightning delays, and the first game we couldn't finish it. We were playing in New Jersey. We were playing Rowan University in New Jersey, and it was a 1:00 start. And this delay, there was lightning storms up and down the East Coast. It became very apparent that these were not just passing showers. It was going to be a significant delay. And, I wanted to finish the game, but also we wouldn't be able to get a hotel. We had to check out of our hotel. We wouldn't be able to get rooms. It was a 4-hour lightning delay before we called it. We didn't have any food. Last time we ate was breakfast. So to me, it became sort of a safety issue. And I had to get these guys back to campus, I told the opposing AD, I go, look, we got to set a time that's if we can't get it in by this time, it's over. And they weren't on board with that in the beginning, but then they kind of understood. So, yeah, we never finished the game. We mutually agreed that it would go down as a tie for NPI rankings purposes, because if we just didn't finish the game, it's a no contest and neither team would get any points.
Right.
And it was a close game, so we kind of figured this was probably the best for both programs. So we get back on campus 5:30 in the morning, and we have a game the next week. So our rhythms are off. Our kids are we're trying to figure out what's the best way to make sure these guys physically are ready to go. And our next game is on the road. It's another 7-hour trip just west of Indianapolis to Wabash College. And again, another lightning delay. And the unique thing there, you could see it was eventually going to go, and we're going to be hopefully able to finish it. The issue there was their home stadium had no lights.
Oh.
So now we're thinking, can we get this in before darkness? And I asked I go, guys, I want to finish this game. We got to, are you guys on board? And my guys, yeah, coach, whatever we got to do. So we figured it out, and we finished the game at a local high school that had lights.
Okay.
So it didn't go in our favor, but we got the game in, and again, got back to practice 5 a.m. So yeah, tough start. And what made it extremely difficult, my best player, my quarterback, Aaron Phillips, senior, just one of the best I've ever coached. And we figure, hey, we're always going to be in any game we play with Aaron. He went down with a season-ending injury, third quarter of our first game.
Oh, man.
So that created some real challenges. And Sam DiTilio came in and did a great job, but we just didn't have enough firepower to beat the better teams on our schedule. And we played all of our losses were to teams that were in the postseason. So we played a really difficult schedule, but unfortunately came out, with a 4-5-1 record.
Yeah, I was going to say that after the start that you just told me there, with 2 lightning delays, losing your star quarterback, in the first game, to a season-ending injury, 4-5-1's nothing to shake a stick at. That's a pretty good bounce back for the issues that you had there at the beginning. And it sounds like you guys play a brutal schedule, with all the teams making the postseason that beat you. Um, so it's not like you were losing to some slack teams. It sounds like you guys held your own this year.
Yeah, we were competitive in the losses. 4 of the 5 losses were within 1 score. Yeah, and we did put ourselves in position after the tough start. We won 4 games in a row, and on November 1st, we're playing W&J, who was undefeated in our conference, and it was basically a championship game against them. If we would have beat them, we would have been in first place. So the kids bounced back great. I thought the coaches did a nice job changing things around with all the injuries. But yeah, it's just, you coach long enough and play long enough, things happen, and you just have to adjust and make the best out of them. And I thought our players and staff did a nice job at doing that.
Yeah, definitely sound like you did that. Speaking of your staff, your current director of athletics there at Case is TJ Shelton. He has been on the show as a guest here. He's a big supporter of the show. We love TJ to death. Talk to us a little bit about working with TJ.
Yeah, TJ's a people person, and it probably comes through in the show. He loves people. He's a relationship guy. I've coached, I've worked for, if you count the interim, 6 different ADs at Case, and everyone was different, and everyone had their pluses and their minuses. I've coached with, the policies and procedures and paperwork AD that maybe wasn't as, socially and personal skills. I've coached with kind of hardline ADs. Boy, TJ's a breath of fresh air, because he is such a people-oriented person, values relationships, has your back.
Yeah,
for sure. He understands if people are going to make mistakes, and let's try and solve the problem, and let's not just blame. Let's fix this problem. And very supportive. Case is lucky to have him. I know that the coach in the athletic department really value him as our leader, because again, we feel we have a guy that cares about us and has our backs.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely came through in the show. Everything you said there about TJ, and having him on the show, he was. I mean, it was a breath of fresh air to talk to him. Normally you get these ADs that come on, and they seem pretty even keeled, but TJ was just all about wanting to help people, and that's what you need in your ADs. Speaking of that, and former guest of the show that former guest of the show, and athletic director at Baldwin Wallace University, Steve Thompson. So how do you know Steve?
Yeah. So Steve he was an athletic administrator at Case. And I think he was our facilities director, I believe. Super nice guy. And I didn't know him, but when he came, we figured out his father was my physics teacher in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, we had oh gosh, it's not a natatorium. What do you call it when that projects the stars and constellations?
Oh,
what is that? I'm blanking on the word for it.
Oh,
he ran that planetarium.
Planetarium,
yeah. And he ran that and was a physics teacher, and so he taught physics in the planetarium, and they had these seats because it's a natatorium. It's like a globe on top, like a big dome.
Yeah.
And it projects things. And so the seats had to go way back, and it was always dark. So like everyone would fall asleep like all the time. Mr. Thompson's class. So, and then sometimes, he'd bring in, he put on these shows for elementary school kids, and he says, no class today. We got an elementary school coming in. So it was a unique class, and he was a unique guy. And years later, I get to work with his son. So that was pretty cool. And Steve's gone on and just done great things at tough places, at Eureka, at Bethany, and now he's at BW. That's big time Division III athletics. And I know the coaches over there just love Steve.
Yeah, we all love Steve. I know I got to know him a little bit with my time at Bethany College, my alma mater, where I graduated from, and everything like that. And obviously through Johnny, the manager of the show here too as well. So yeah, we love Steve. He's hysterical, but that's definitely odd. A weird coincidence that you realize that his father was actually your physics teacher. And those planetariums, planetariums. That had to have been a hard class to keep your students awake at, with those seats and being dark. Like I there's no chance I was staying awake in that class if I was in there reclined back. Yeah, it's going to be game over for me in a class like that. But that's just an awesome story to hear. And Steve reconnecting with Johnny at Baldwin Wallace and everything like that. There, it's great, and when things come full circle there. So we'd love to see it. A lot of people, like you said, in the NFL and that, but you got to coach Cameron Brown, who is the son of current NBA coach of the Knicks, Mike Brown. What was that like, coaching not only one of the greats at case history, but the son of an NBA head coach?
So Cam was an All-American for us, 4-year starter. And the background, we all knew. We recruited him out of high school, and he chose to go to University of Cincinnati and just go be a student. And when he was coming out of high school, like he was a good player, but he was 205 pounds. He was baby faced. Mike came up and Mike's wife, and it was great getting to know them. And he chose to go to Cincinnati. And a year later, Mike called us again, say, "Hey, Cam wants to transfer. He wants to play football." So we got him as a transfer. And then now he's coming in and he's matured. He's 230 pounds. He's built. And it's like, okay, we're excited. What stood out to me and what was very apparent, Cam, you wouldn't know by just talking to him that he was the son of an NBA coach. He was very, very shy. I don't know if shy is the right word. Very humble. Didn't come off as a big time guy, didn't talk about, going to practice and watching LeBron James or any of those guys that his dad coached Kobe Bryant. But you never heard about that. But what you saw was the discipline and the attention to detail that a son of a coach brings, because he's been around it. He's seen it. He understands it. And what stood out to me is we would, in our preseason before school starts, we have these kids all day. So what we usually do is we have a set of morning meetings where we do our install, and then NCAA rules, we have to give them 3 hours off, and then we come and we practice. So what Cam would do right after the meeting, he would go out by himself on the field and do all the footwork to the installs that we just did by himself, and go through everything we installed against air and pretending there was an offensive lineman in front of him.
That's definitely a player you want. Like that, they're committed.
And then Mike would be there for our scrimmage and our first 2 or 3 games, and then he had to go. He was at that time, he was with the Warriors. So, season started, but he would come out and he would be there at a practice, and he'd just sit in a chair while Cam would go through his footwork. And it was just something to see. Cam then coached with us for a year or two. For 2 years. He volunteered 1 year, and then he was our intern the second year. And he was trying to figure out if he wanted to have coaching for a career. His backup, what he was trying to decide was between coaching and going to culinary school. He loves to cook, just loves it. And he would cook all the time for his teammates. He would invite them over. He loved it.
Yeah, so it's just vastly different avenues to want to go to. That's hysterical.
So he makes that decision, and he's coaching with us, and he tells me, and by that time his dad's now the head coach of the Kings, and he says, "Hey, my dad's going to be in town. He's going to have a physical at the Cleveland Clinic. He says he'll be happy to stop by and talk to the team." I'm like, "Oh, that's great, Cam. Let's do that. Whatever he wants to do, hey, it'd be great." So we open up, we play our first game, and we get shellacked by Johns Hopkins. I mean, they just annihilate us. So I go, "Hey, Cam, could you ask your dad to talk about like bouncing back from defeat? Because that's what we need." He comes in and he has a video presentation where he has, Curry and Draymond. And I guess in one of their rounds of the playoffs in whatever year, they got beat by 40 by somebody. And you heard these guys talking about how they reacted after the loss, what they did to prepare for the next game. And then they went out and won the next game and won the series. 45-minute presentation.
Wow.
He looked over in the middle and goes, "Hey, coach, we okay? Or we cutting into practice?" I go, "Look, Mike, whatever we would be doing out there, we're getting way more out of this. Just keep going. Take as much time as you want."
Yeah.
So he was tremendous, and you can tell why I don't think he's ever interviewed for a job that he didn't get, whether it be Cleveland twice, the LA, the Knicks now, the Kings. He's an impressive guy, really.
Definitely. Yeah. Not that I can remember. I mean, pretty much anyone where he's wanted to go, he's pretty much landed that job. So that's just kudos to him. And it must have been nice to have a coach's son on your team, that somebody that gets it, they get the mindset of what you're trying to do and to instill into them, and to be able to take that and run with it. That had to be just miles above to help. And then that mindset is infectious. Other players are going to start to see that. They're going to start to do, and it just helps the whole program out. That's, from what I've seen, is you get that one guy in there and they can change the entire program.
And Cam is now with the 49ers. He's assistant defensive line coach with the 49ers.
Okay. So chose coaching over culinary, it sounds like. For sure. So, you also know, like I mentioned there briefly, the manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone, who was doing some graduate admissions work there at Case Western. How did you meet Johnny, and what was it like to get to know him during his time there?
Yeah, so I think it was just during the recruiting process. Case has a number of graduate schools, and, we would occasionally get kids that had that extra year and, wanted to continue playing while they pursued a master's. Or I had a kid in law school play. I had a kid. I've never had anybody in medical school yet, but it's usually over at the Weatherhead School of Management. And Johnny was just invaluable because he had coached football. He understood what these kids, their passion for it. And he helped us with the process. He helped the incoming players with the process. And usually we got to hunt these people down to help us. Like they've got a million things on their plate, and, they're not returning emails. They're not returning phone calls. And, Johnny was like, so proactive, letting us know about kids and where they're at without even being asked to. So, yeah, he was a real help. And, we actually had 2 kids this year that he helped with that both started for us, that are going through and getting their master's in finance. So, yeah, he's certainly a friend of the program and a friend of the athletic department for sure.
Yeah, Johnny. Anything football or sports related, he is all on board for it. His time coaching, didn't go the greatest for him to start out with, and but he found a way to bounce back, and anything that he's done. And he's just, I mean, I wish I could bottle up a half of his energy some of the times, because he's just, I don't think that the man knows the word stop, because he is, I think that from the time his eyes open till the time he closes them, he is going 152% in everything that he does.
Yeah, he's certainly and he's still, now he's at BW working with missions, and he just, the people that whose passion is to work with young people, they're doing it not to get rich. They're doing it because that they love to help people, and
right.
That certainly came out with my, with our time with Johnny there, and continue to have a friendship with them, and I know he'd do anything to help out anybody. So
absolutely, he's been a big help to the show here once I brought him on board here with it. And I mean, he's just, for the past 5 years, we've been working, hand in hand with the show and helping it grow and everything like that. And he does it just because he wants to. I mean, he could leave at any time, and I would let him go if he wanted to, but he doesn't. And it's great to see. But I wanted you to talk a little bit here as we wind down near the end of the episode about Case Western Reserve University and what type of university it is, as a whole, for students and aspiring students, and what can they offer them?
Yeah, so it's a major research university, and that plays D3 sports, which you don't find a lot of those. It's changed dramatically. I'm a Cleveland area native. I grew up in Mentor, Ohio, and I knew Case Western Reserve growing up because my brother attended Case and played football. So I was on campus as a 16-year-old watching my brother play football. Back then, much smaller. It was about 3,200 undergrad. When I came in 2001, that's what it was, 3,200. I was surprised that it was difficult to get into, but not too difficult. Now it's 6,200 undergrads, so it's almost double in size in 25 years. Our international student population has grown dramatically. Undergraduate international student population is about 15% of the undergraduate population. It was 2% when I first arrived. Major changes in facilities, not just athletics. The Weatherhead building is basically 25 years old. All of the development on Euclid Avenue, the Uptown project, those used to be parking lots when I came in 2001. So it has grown in stature. It is extremely competitive to get admitted. And I've seen the other end when they graduate, our graduates are scooped up. I mean, the people out there understand that if they get a Case Western Reserve graduate, that they're getting somebody pretty special. So it is wide variety. We're known for STEM. I think the business school is higher ranked at any of our STEM programs. Both my daughters attended Case. My one daughter is a clinical psychologist. She went on and got her PhD. So that was an interesting experience. Never in a million years would I thought she would go on and get a PhD, but I think because she attended Case and the people around her influenced her greatly to do that. And she had an experience. She did research at the Cleveland Clinic as a junior, and she had that research published as a senior. And that's what got her into the PhD program. She was the only one in her cohort that didn't have a master's. So wow. I think that was directly from Case Western Reserve opened that door for her. So, and then my other daughter was an English major. She had the most non-Case major ever. English and teaching certification. That was an unusual major. And she taught high school for 3 years and then got in. She's a coder, a computer programmer now. And
Okay.
again, her friends from Case greatly influenced her to, hey, you should try this. And then she has a friend from the soccer team that's a bigwig with Microsoft. And anytime she wants to, Google, bigwig at Google. And I guess there's a 5-step interview process at Google, and she gets to skip the first 3 steps because of her relationship with this Case Western Reserve women's soccer grad. So I tell kids all the time, your decision to go to college is your first big major decision. You couldn't choose where you lived or where in most cases where you went to high school. You just lived where your parents wanted to live. It's your first big decision, and you should make it based upon who you want to surround yourself with, because who you choose to surround yourself with is going to greatly influence the type of person and the success that you're going to have as a person. So that's why I was so happy that my kids chose to go to Case, because the people that they got to surround themselves with.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome about the everything there, especially with your girls there too as well. Good for them. Hope to see where they can go with all that and everything like that. Everything's great. I mean, that sounds awesome. But like I said, Greg, we are running down near the end of the show here, but I do have to get this one last segment in here. And that is the Fast 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. These are completely at random. They're kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. They have nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the better part of almost 45 minutes now. So if you are ready, we can get going.
Shoot.
All righty. Question number 1. What's a better fruit, a kiwi or an orange?
Orange.
Okay. Question number 2. What's the most interesting animal at the zoo?
Oh, boy. I saw a liger one time. That was the most interesting animal I ever saw at the Miami Zoo. For some reason, we went to a zoo and we were in Miami, Florida, and they had a liger.
Yeah,
You know what that is?
Is it a lion tiger? Isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a genetically created animal. It's not in nature. They create it genetically. Most people know it from Napoleon Dynamite. That's his favorite animal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only reason I know what that is because of that. This is because of Napoleon Dynamite. But yeah, that's I've never seen one. That's awesome though. Question number 3: what is the best golf course you have ever golfed at?
Canterbury Country Club. It's actually, I live 2 blocks away from it. It's hosted major championships. They can't do it anymore because they just don't have the parking, and it's not long enough anymore. But Jack Nicklaus has won there. Arnold Palmer's won there. It's a classic old style golf course that just they still have some senior events there and LPGA, but that's the best one I've ever golfed at.
That's awesome for sure. Question number 4: what's one word to describe Tom Brady?
Driven.
I like that one for sure. Last but not least, what's the most interesting place you have ever visited?
I would say the Vatican. Yeah, I've been there 4 times, and I just went back for the 4th time in May of 2025, and I was excited to go. It's a special place. There's so much history to it, the art, obviously the spirituality. I've been in the Sistine Chapel. It is the most interesting place I've been.
Yeah, that's definitely got to take the cake for anyone there. That's awesome. But that was the Fast 55, and I gotta say, Greg, I feel like you took it a little easy on you with some of these questions there, because we've had some really weird random ones from Johnny. If anybody knows him or listened to the show, you've heard some of these questions here. But Greg, I give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. If there's anything that you want to get out there, whether it's about Case, your football program, anything else you got going on, or even if it's just a good message for the listeners out there. I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
Okay. I've worked in upper education my whole career, 38 years, worked at two very different institutions. I've worked with a lot of families to kind of help them pick their college choice. And what I see, the mistakes made, they don't research things well enough. They go just to play a sport and don't consider anything else. My advice to people, both parents and high schoolers coming up, is, have an idea of what you want to accomplish with your college career, and athletics should certainly be part of that if you're passionate about that. But also what is the best fit for you, and then go out and research it. Go out and make as many visits as you can, talk to as many people as you can, and try and make as educated a decision as possible. And just, find that fit, because everybody's fit isn't the same. We think Case Western Reserve is an unbelievable opportunity for people, but it has to be the right fit. So as a recruiter, that's what I'm trying to do, trying to find the student athlete that's the right fit for our program. And the families should be trying to find the best fit for their sons or daughters that's going to help them develop into the person that they want to be.
That is awesome, for sure. I love it when people have a good message like that ties into what they have going on for themselves too as well. I kind of almost wish I didn't have to do a promo read after that, but I do here for the new sponsor to the show in Web Western, a clothing company designed for those who aren't afraid of hard work, for those who live off the land, who love hunting, fishing, and everything outdoors. Or just working the land. Web Western is a no BS company, and they support anybody who is in that. I am wearing one of their new hats here today. The arrow reminds everybody to be a straight shooter. Once again, go to webwestern.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10% off of your purchase. Once again, webwestern.com. Promo code Mike Bono. Save yourself 10%. With all that being said, that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest, Coach Greg, for coming on here from Case Western. A lot of fun to get to talk to you and hear everything about what you got going on up there. I will be following the program even closer now for you, Greg. I follow everybody that comes onto the show, so looking forward to seeing great things from you up there in Cleveland at Case Western. But as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.